What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a really fun and strong team in the Hisui Cup. Now, yes, the Hisui Cup is different than we originally expected. I'll have more information on that, as well as an updated guide coming out either later today or tomorrow. But basically, it's now Sinnoh Pokemon plus Hisuian forms. So, taking a look today at a team with Hisuian Samurott, really incredible core breaker. Home Slice Henry himself came into my stream on Friday, and he recommended this team to me. I gave it a try. It went up 120 elo in one day. So let's get into these battles and check it out. You got Frostlass as a sweeper, Gliscor as the save swap, picking up a lead against Toxicroak in the first game here, and immediately swapping into Gliscor to get ahead on energy, and the opponent comes in with a Frostlass, and while at first this may look like a very bad situation, the truth of it is that Samurott's Hisuian form is dark and water. It completely resists the moveset from Frostlass. The only downside, however, is that Samurott is fairly glassy. So, we got shield advantage. This is my first couple of battles with this team. I grabbed 10 battles off the stream, trying to show as many different matchups as possible for Samurott, and most of it was also me just trying to kind of figure everything out. But Hisuian Samurott takes about 45% excuse me, from that. So I'm going to come in with my Frostlass to start farming down as the opponent through all their energy. And they have an Abomasnow in the back. And if an Abomasnow and the Toxicroak are all they have left, this is looking like a Frostlass sweep, and there's nothing wrong with that now. I'm just sad that I don't have a Shadow Frostlass to try out, because I saw the Home Slice Henry showcase of that. Whew. Man, that's some damage, dude. Anyway, I'm looking to CMP tie this Abomasnow on their next charge move here to make sure I don't get hit. And if I do have to get hit, I'm going to use a shield and force them to use their shield as well. Opponent lets it go, tries to save a shield for their Toxicroak. However, 2 avalanches is going to be enough. I just need to be able to get there before the opponent gets to 2 moves. They go for the Mud Bomb here. I'm pretty sure a Mud Bomb won't KO, but just in case it does, I'm already at 2 avalanches. I'm not worried. Gonna go straight for it. Now Toxicroak wins CMP. If they're at 2 moves, they're able to get there, but unfortunately I'm a bozo and miscounted completely. They were not at 2 moves, and they were still not at 2 moves when we came back in with Frostlass, but good game either way. Getting into the next battle here, Samurott into Bastiodon. Now there's an interesting matchup dynamic here, because a lot of trainers I saw at first immediately swapped out because they thought that I had a water type move. So I'm not really sure. I am sure. What happens is sometimes when we use new stuff, the opponents don't know what to expect, right? So they think that maybe, oh, it's a water type. I don't want my Bastiodon against this. The sad thing for Samurott is that it does not have any usable water type damage. It gets Razor Shell. So that's really it. So my opponent swapping in a Frostlass here is a blessing in disguise, because now what I can do is I can align my Gliscor in the back to the Bastiodon, and I can do as much damage as possible here. Now, there is not really an ABB sort of team here. We just have Gliscor as a safe swap for bad leads, okay? Frostlass is meant to be the sweeper on this team. I'm up a shield. My opponent gets an Abomasnow. I mean, this story here writes itself. So we take a minute, and we say, good game. And we get into the next battle, and we talk about the team a little bit, because the thing with Gastrodons, okay, so this is how we handle Gastrodon, okay? I'm going to stay in here, because even though my Gliscor and my Frostlass have positive matchups, I don't necessarily want to dip straight in. I would like to chunk this thing first. You don't have to play it this way. You could certainly just go immediately into Gliscor, and that's fine. My opponent now comes in with a Drifblim, and that's the cool thing that I like about Gliscor in this meta, is it's able to break apart the ghost types and some of the steel types, especially things like Bastiodon. Opponent takes a little bit too long to swap here. There we go. So they give me a really sizable energy lead, which I can now use to my advantage. Now, I'll give up 1 shield here if I need to, just in case they have Icy Wind, but in this case, I decide I was going to let it go if it was just Icy Wind, because I could let my Hisuian Samurott come in and get a really nasty farm down. But opponent running Mystical Fire, Shadow Ball. I imagine they're probably running Mystical Fire for Frostlass matchups. That would make sense to me. But Icy Wind is what I would be afraid of, and thankfully they don't have it. So my opponent's Gastrodon comes in, they're down a shield. I get to farm down almost with my Frostlass, and there's another Abomasnow. I don't know where they all came from. I think they were trying to shut down the Gastrodons and such. But I'll take it, because we got a 2 shield advantage here. I'm going to catch on my Samurott. I don't necessarily have to, but the pacing was a little bit weird, and I figured if this is an energy ball, I might as well catch it here because I'm not going to have much of a use for my Samurott at this point in the game. Because Gastrodon is in the back, I mean, at this point I can just use my Samurott as a bit of a meat shield. I can farm up energy here, go for the Avalanche, and then I should have an Avalanche ready to go if the opponent doesn't get taken out here, but that doesn't matter because their Gastrodon's at like 1 HP. So this is basically a good game here. They don't have the energy to go for like double Earth Power. They don't have the HP to go for double Earth Power. So we take them out. Good game. Getting into the next battle, the next lead we're going to take a look at here is Samurott into Bastiodon again. So sometimes they swap out, but they do also stay in. But what we're going to focus on in this game is we're going to focus on Empoleon. Okay. Now, we're also going to see an Empoleon lead. We're going to see how that shakes out. But what I want you to see is the Dark Pulses. After you and your opponent both throw a charge move, if they don't shield that Dark Pulse, you get a perfect farm down. Watch this. You get a perfect farm down of Snarls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That happens in the lead matchup as well. So now you come out loaded with energy. If the Bastiodon stays in, what I do is I just go for as many Dark Pulses as I can and consider shielding maybe once. If Bastiodon's out of the way, most often Frostlass is going to have a good time in the back. So my opponent comes in with a Toxicroak here. I wasn't sure. I mean, I figured they swapped out of the Bastiodon, so maybe they were afraid to come back in with it. My opponent now comes back in with the Bastiodon, and I've got my Gliscor. I get the 2 Earthquakes here, no problem. I could even probably bait here, but I would rather not, because sometimes what the trainers will do is they'll try to bait out something with that Bastiodon, and then they won't shield. If they catch you in a bait, you're in a bad spot. So I'd rather just go for the nuke here. Opponent lets it go. Boom! And then they're going to come back in with their last Pokemon here. You're going to fire off this Night Slash. Night Slash is not going to do enough to KO a Toxicroak, but it'll do enough to get that last shield. And all I have to do is let my Frostlass finish this job for me. This is going to be a good game here. Frostlass, honestly, is so good. Toxicroak would be really good too. I just haven't found a team for it yet, but good game. Getting into the next battle here, we're going to have Samurott on the lead versus a Magnezone. You're going to laugh at me for this battle. Don't be mean to me, okay? So this thing core breaks the team, okay? And this is difficult because I still have to be afraid of a Wild Charge even though it's resisted. It's still going to hurt. So I have to shield this. And then the opponent comes in with a Cresselia, which is fine. I can fire off a bunch of Night Slashes. I can do okay here, but the problem is that I have to basically find a way to farm down with something or somehow have a lot of energy to throw at this Magnezone. They're going to have 2 shields, and I don't really know that I expect them to shield again. And my opponent now going for a charge move here. I'm going to let this go because I need to save a shield for that Magnezone, otherwise it's going to just one-shot everything. So I'm going for as much of an overfarm as I can here, loading up to double Night Slashes to fire them off back to back. And then the opponent's going to shield one, and I'm going to go for the other one. And then it's up to them if they want to shield this one as well. The opponent goes ahead and shields. So what I come in now is I come in with my Samurott looking to try and initiate some sort of a farm down. Opponent going to go for the Grass Knot. It's going to do some damage here. And then they come in with the Magnezone. Those Volt Switches do so much. I didn't think I was going to get taken out so quick. Opponent doesn't have any shields left, but they have enough energy. And it's like a super effective Mirror Shot or a Wild Charge. I have to eat one of them, and my opponent also has the energy to get to this move before I can get to the Shadow Ball. And of course, Magnezone wins CMP because it's an absolute G. And you know what? They're gonna give it. I'm gonna give it to them. Boom! They can have the button. They played me very well. Getting into the next battle here, we got Empoleon. So exactly what I was saying, right? You stay in. I throw the Dark Pulse on CMP on 5. Most Empoleons will stay in here, so we're going to throw you win CMP, so if they don't shield this, you go ahead and shield, and you perfectly farm down with 5 Snarls. Watch this. They're going to go for their move. I'm going to shield it up, and honestly, this is also the hardest answer to my backline as well, so I'm more than happy to get rid of it. Now this, my opponent comes in with Galade. I probably should have stayed in. Because I'm double resisting those confusions, I probably should have stayed in, but immediately going to come out, and my opponent needs 3 confusions. We get the perfect farm down with 6 wing attacks. Now the opponent has to come back in either with Empoleon or with their third Pokemon. We're going to see what they decide to come in. They do have 2 shields, but I'm going to come in with, or they're going to come in with Empoleon. I'm going to fire off a Night Slash as they're getting their move in. They let it go, and it's a Frostlass in the back. And now we're cooking, because what we can do now is we can utilize Frostlass and Hisuian Samurott. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go for an Icy Wind bait. Okay, and this is not only a bait in my favor, but what it is also is I'm hoping that it lowers the attack enough so that my Frostlass doesn't get one shot. Now that all the shields are gone, I can go for this Dark Pulse or force the opponent to throw their energy. If I get to this Dark Pulse, it's good games. And now I'm going to get to it because the attack drop was clutch. Now, I could have gone for back-to-back Dark Pulse, but I felt like it was pretty easy to get that shield, so taking out the Frostlass and taking that game. Good game. Getting into the next battle against Mr. Wholesome. Got a Gastrodon on the lead, so I'm planning to stay in here. Now, opponent immediately swaps into a Drapion, and I'm like, okay, and it's Bite. And I know exactly what this team is. It's the previously dubbed Bite Hole, where you have Skuntank and Drapion in the back with Bite, and that's just what you run. So this is dangerous for my Frostlass, okay? I have to try and find a way to win switch, but instead, I kind of realize at this point that because of the fact that it's going to take me too long to get to an Earthquake, I'm just going to go for shields. My opponent is not able, or I'm able to get both shields. My opponent is able to farm me down there, unfortunate. Coming in with the Samurott because I do resist the dark type bite damage. And I'm going to have to try and find a way to utilize Frostlass here. Now, I'm expecting that there is definitely a Skuntank back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with my Frostlass, start getting ahead on energy, and I'm going to fire off this Avalanche. Because I'm ahead on energy, hopefully I might be able to get to another one before I get completely fast moved down. I just need to get this farm down. If I can get it, that's going to be good. It's kind of hard to tell with that, with the way that those, the HP bar was kind of going down. But I'm going to be able to get to an Icy Wind here. Hoping it's going to drop the attack just enough for a Body Slam not to KO, and I need to get to a Dark Pulse here. I'm going to shield up. The opponent, most likely at this point, has 2 moves stored, and they do. So I'm, like I said, I'm hoping that I can survive this, and those the Mud Slaps just doesn't look tight. It doesn't look good, but we live 1 more Mud Slap to survive with just enough HP to get this Dark Pulse off and take the game. Well played, good game, and stop running about Bite teams. Tappy tap tap teams. I don't like them. Samurott into Empoleon yet again. We're going to play the same old song and dance as the last trainer who had an Empoleon. And honestly, Samurott really only loses hard to a few things. It's fighters and, I mean, kind of Bastiodon, sort of, but like it's a close enough matchup that you could probably make it work, right? But yeah, just fighters, and then the opponent safe swaps in a Drifblim. This is a very easy stay-in for my Samurott here. As the opponent does have an Empoleon, I do have to be careful, though, that they do kind of destroy my backline, but if I can manage my energy well here, hopefully I can get my Frostlass to come out with maybe a Shadow Ball. So what I'm going to look to do here is go for this Icy Wind, and then I'm going to pop in my Frostlass and go for a full farm down. My opponent has shown me that they have Icy Wind, and they get fully farmed down before getting to another move, so I should be able to come with my Empoleon. My opponent, I'm gonna go, well, they're going for fast moves. I'm gonna go with good timing here to make sure that they can't catch on me. Go for the Avalanche. The opponent does shield, and I'm gonna go for a little bit more, going for that timing, and then I'm thinking maybe I just go for a full farm down here, and then the opponent swaps in a Frostlass, and they would have caught a Shadow Ball. Good game. Getting into the next battle, we got Samurott versus another Gastrodon. There could be anything back there, so we're gonna stay in here and see what happens. Gonna go for the Dark Pulse right away against the Gastrodon. Now, this particular trainer decided to throw the Body Slam, so I'm not going to shield the Body Slam. But after I've done this damage, I am gonna go straight into my Gliscor. Happy to know that the opponent doesn't have any energy at this point, so I'm gonna swap in Gliscor. The opponent comes in with a Munchlax. Very interesting pick in this meta. I like it a lot. Oh, excuse me. And we're going to be able to get this Earthquake off. Now, whether they shield or not is up to them, but I'm going to look to go straight Earthquake here. I want to take this thing out or get my guaranteed shields. I'm not really interested in trying to play switch advantage here because, truthfully, I don't think I need it because this whole team has very interesting play, or I would say really good play into Gastrodon. Nothing really is weak here, so alignment's not necessarily an issue. It's mostly just energy and shields for me here. So I'm going to come in with my Frostlass because I'm going to force them to go for that Bulldoze, and as I do, I can go for more energy here. My opponent probably going to throw the Bulldoze. I have to keep my Frostlass alive here. This energy is important. And then my opponent is going to stay in, continue to go for those licks. I'm going to overfarm as much as I can before I think they would get to another charge move. And then I'm going to go for the Avalanche. The Avalanche is going to be enough to take out the Munchlax here. And then they come in with a Licky. And I'm like, no, they've got Lick Hole. But like we said, there could be anything back there. 2 Avalanches would be enough, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get there. So I'm going to swap to try and catch a move of my opponent. And I both swap at the same time, but I'm not going to be able to live long enough to get to these charge moves. And unfortunately for me, the Mud Slaps are going to do enough damage to knock out my Frostlass before I can get to 2 charge moves myself. So I'm just kind of trying here, hoping that maybe the opponent doesn't have a move, but then 1 Lick would just take me out here. So either way, they got it. So good game to my opponent. They played it very well. Unfortunately, Frostlass did not have a good time in that one, but either way, I think if I didn't swap, it could have been a different outcome. Getting into the next battle, we got Drifblim on the lead, and this is a good lead for this team as Frostlass, and everything really has play against it. So the opponent comes in with a Bastiodon, and I'm like, why would you save swap Bastiodon? You don't do that. No. You never save swap Bastiodon. We one-shot the Basti. The opponent now comes in with Drapion. That's what you should be safe swapping. You should be safe swapping Drapion. Now, I see that they have Aqua Tail. This clues me in here, and I know now that my Samurott probably walls their whole moveset because they're going to be running Crunch for sure. So, I'm going to go for a Night Slash here if I can get to one, do some little bit of chip damage. And I know at this point, Samurott, easy. Got this. It's in the bag. My opponent has no super effective damage they can do to my Samurott. I'm going to let it come in. It's going to absorb energy because the opponent, they're just not going to be able to do much damage with these charge moves. And so, I will shield up this next one here. Or not. Never mind. I guess I don't. I thought I would have, but they go for the double crunch. I think at this point, I'm just saving 2 shields. Yeah, I'm just saving 2 shields for Frostlass to make a sweep here. All I have to do is get Frostlass in here to farm this thing down, which I do now. They've got a dropped attack stat. They're going to go for a move. I'm going to no-shield this because I know that I'm not worried about a crunch, even if it's debuffed. My opponent then takes the L on that, and that's a good game. Well played. Getting into the final battle here, we got Hisuian Samurott versus Drifblim. This is a good lead for this team. Drifblim gonna swap out after 1 fast move, and then we get a Gliscor on the Lucario that safe swaps in. And one thing about this Gliscor matchup, if you have a Shadow, 1 Night Slash puts you in position to farm them completely down if they throw the Shadow Ball. So I'm gonna go for the Night Slash here. I mean, I could bait if I want to. They're gonna probably shield it anyway. But look at this. So they're gonna get to 1, 2. Okay, well, I got a boost there. And then the opponent is going to concede because whatever they had in the back didn't want to deal with a boosted Gliscor. So, good game, I guess. But essentially what I was going to get at there was if you throw the Night Slash into the Lucario, and if they go for the Power-Up Punch bait or they go for the Shadow Ball, you can farm them all the way down before they get to that next move. So, you shield once, you throw Night Slash, you farm down Lucario. Essentially is what I'm getting at. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's been a very awesome, strong team. This team, honestly, I'm still going to... Like, if I play Hisui Cup, I'm going to keep playing this team. Because Hisuian Samurott, honestly, cracked. It's legitimately so good. Unfortunately, you have to trade to get one under 1,500. But if you're lucky enough to get one, like I was able to, it's such a strong Pokemon in this meta, I can highly recommend it. So, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.